Terry, this was done. We snorkeled with them in Dominica, which is in the Eastern Caribbean, between Guadalupe and Martinique. So some of the sperm whales live there year round, but they do migrate through the Caribbean Sea. So you're on the western side of the islands, and Dominica does allow by special permit folks to snorkel with them.
Very nice.
Can you bring the next?
Sure.
Come on. My computer is acting up, but let me just give me a second here, folks.
Okay.
It just sort of looks like I'm going to go back for a second here. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I can, we're good. This is a snowy plover. You can notice that there's actually 4 different tags on this poor tiny little bird. This photo was taken up in the Big Bend region of Florida at Bald Point State Park. It was kind of a messy day where I was surprised to actually see one, and this was a lifer bird for me. And the other fun thing was the ability to be able to report this bird through the system that it was seen and show that what its tags were. So not necessarily always the best photos, but those are the ones that, you know, you're like, oh, this is the first time I've ever seen it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Ah.
And my last photo, I created this in black and white. That's the only thing that I did different. This is a close-up and one of the few shots I got of a sperm whale eye. And the impression, and you know, if we had more than 4 photos, the size of these guys is an average of 40 to 60 feet.
Oh.
So think of an ant compared to a dog. That's how you feel. And between the light reflection and just the overall comfort, we were not, I would say, 100 feet from these animals, because you're laying on the water or slowly diving underwater and they are moving. So this was not utilizing or not looking for the widest angle. So the little TG6 works with a variety of magnifications there, millimeters, and I'm not quite sure what that was for this photo. It was a phenomenal experience. I cannot tell you how fascinating it was, and you know, you can go and maybe not see them. So the fact that we got 4 out of 5 days with them was just incredible.
Wow.
Next.
All right, thank you.
Nancy, you're up.
That's alphabetical. Okay. This is a picture of a male Aninga with 3 very hungry chicks. And I just thought it was so neat the way they were all lined up that way. And he did not look particularly thrilled. He did later feed them. This was Wakota. Anyway, he did later feed them, but at that moment he was not interested. But they could be very persuasive. And I guess he had, if you're familiar at all with the Aningas and the way they feed their young, basically they stretch their necks out somewhat and the young stick their whole head down its throat and eats, I suppose, something that has been made into baby food. So they eat it, they hold in somewhere in like a crop or something where the food is, and the babies stick their head down. It just amazes me that their necks don't get punctured, but they don't seem to. Okay, next. That's bad. This is just a male looking totally elegant, a male Aninga. During breeding season, they have all those fluffy extra feathers on their neck, and they have this beautiful red eye and green around that eye. And they just have a way of, to me, looking very elegant. And that's what inspired me by this picture. It really shows that, to me, that elegance. Next. This is, of course, a roseate spoonbill. And what intrigued me about this is you can tell this is a mature rosy because of the no hair on the head and the way that, I don't know what the skin on the head is definitely older. And you can see on the right side that they have the bright red feathers. But what you see is it looks like down almost. I just never noticed that they had those kind of feathers around their neck and their back. And they just looked so soft, unusual to me, that angle. So that's why that's Rich, was that you?
Yeah.
Okay, and next, this is a snowy egret that was hunting pretty consistently. And I took a lot of pictures of it. And this one I particularly liked just because I love the water and the way it kind of looks like it's following it. And then just catching a moment in time in motion. I enjoy doing that. And this made me think of when I like that, catching it. So that's my 4. Thank you for watching. Next.
This thing is.
Hey, Sherry.
the mouse is- Yeah, I'm sitting here talking to myself. I apologize.
No, it's helpful to know what's going on.
Okay, here you go. Paula, I think you're next. Let me double check. Yes,
You're
Paula, you're
next.
next.
Are you with us, Paula?
Yeah, here I am. All of my photos are from my Birding by Bus Costa Rica trip taken this January. This is a buffy crowned wood partridge. We were at Casa Downey, where one of our field guides has this magnificent house. The whole front of the house is looking over the mountains, and he has a feeding station. Everybody there has a feeding station. They're very eco-tourist friendly. And we sat there in his house after a delicious meal served by Serge, and I got 15 lifers just sitting there after lunch. I mean,
Wow.
it was amazing.
Next.
This is the crested owl. There again, we went on one of these copies property where he does eco trips. His whole backyard is nothing but hummingbird feeder stations, and he has a little creek that runs through his property. And on the back of the property, he has a crested owl. We also got to see a spectacled owl there. I mean, it was just lifers.
The next one, Paula.
This was one of my target birds. I love hummingbirds. This was the fiery-throated hummingbird. We were up at 12,000 feet, and we were sitting on a deck, and they had multiple feeders, and it was just a hummingbird lover's delight.
The next one.
This is one of our target birds, the resplendent quetzal. We were on the bus at 5 o'clock in the morning. We drove about 30 minutes to this wild I've drawn a blank on the tree that they feed off of. We went up this mountain goat trail. We birded for 2 hours and did not see this bird. We were finishing our second cup of coffee and Ileana hollered everybody back on the bus. We repeated our travels and we were rewarded with 3 males and 3 females. And it was, you know, it was just avocados, wild avocados. And that was just one of my lifers, and I'm so pleased with it.
Next picture. Hey, Josh Hates.
Hey, that's me. Hi. So I shoot primarily at Wakotahachie and Green Cay, but I'm fortunate to have a lake behind my house, and I have a couple of resident spoonbills, so they're frequently flying. These are not obviously spoonbills. These are baby, I believe these are baby tricolored herons.
Yep.
And I was actually leaving Green Cay thinking, well, even though I was up at sunrise and I walked quite a bit and sweated and it was hot and muggy that morning, I said, I don't think I got anything. And as I was leaving, I turned to my left over the railings and the bushes, and these little guys were just looking at me. I thought, well, that's a good portrait. So I don't have a lot to say about them, except it's just wonderful to be out in the open. I will be getting something much more unusual in July. My wife and I are going to Alaska for 3 weeks, and we're doing a cruise and so forth. We'll be going to Denali National Park and Mount McKinley. I'm looking forward to doing something different. So you can go to the next one. And this is in my back. This is out over our lake. You know, obviously I'd love to get a much better background, but I just love, they're just such wonderful. It was who just had the spoonbill up? That was Paula?
Nancy.
Anyway, Nancy, wonderful. That was just so beautiful. This is a regular sighting for me. Just look out. Oh, here's another one. At one time there were 3, so they're graceful and beautiful, and they eat a lot, and they're really funny to watch when they sort of waddle their bills back and forth into the mush of the lake. So that's our resident. I think I called it. It was like happy hour time, you know, like 5:36, and then he took off. So I think I have another one next.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Nice.
So that I love. You know, same thing. I was leaving Wakotahachie one day thinking, well, I get some nice shots, and I saw another guy looking up. I said, what are you looking at? And he said, oh, there's a couple of red-tailed juveniles up there. And this was pretty far away, actually. I'm fortunate to have a really nice lens, Olympus camera lens. And I just zoomed in on this. And to me, it's just so majestic and almost imposing looking. Does anyone, is that really a red-tailed hawk? I mean, can you tell just from the face?
It's a red shoulder for sure.
Red shoulder, red
That's what I
shoulder.
was thinking. Yeah.
If you're over in the alligator hole there, there's a couple of red shoulders that have been nesting over in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the other one just checking out the ground quite a bit now. So I was hoping to get a shot of one of or both of them swooping down or attacking, something a little more. But this I thought was pretty neat portrait.
Mhm.
And I think there's one more. So this is a yellow,
Red,
red-headed woodpecker.
red-bellied.
Red-bellied woodpecker, right? Because I get it confused with the sapsuckers, but so I like taking these portraits, but being fairly far away. I mean, this guy was just posing for a half an hour, and I zoomed in to get my portrait. Once I was home, I had no idea that little spider was there. So I think I just got lucky on that one. It's just, again, wonderful to be out and see everything that's out there. Somebody was telling me the other day that they brought 2 young kids over one afternoon. They didn't see a darn thing. I said, well, it's not that easy. You really have to look. Anybody here know Pedro Lastra?
I've met him.
Yes, he's, I worked with him a little bit. He took a couple of classes with him. It was very helpful to get some shooting tips. And we were together this day, and he got so excited he was going to jump out of his skin that this guy was just sitting there posing for us. So anyway, thanks for looking at him.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Karen.
These are all from Wakotahachie, and it's a series. So this is like the first one, and I specifically saw the mating, and it was like a very obvious place this bird was, so I was able to go back, and you can show the next one. And here she is with 2 eggs,
Mm.
and you can go to the next. Unfortunately, when I went back the next time, and this was like 2 weeks later, she only had 1 chick. And you can go to the next one. And this is about 14 days later, and this is how big it got.
Okay,
The
Okay,
wings
that's
are always fascinating on that,
yeah,
at
yeah.
that stage.
Yeah, I
Me
just
and Bubba could
enjoyed
love
seeing
that.
this grow up, kind of. It was just interesting to get the series.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
ready to move on?
Yeah.
Hey, Holly.
Oh, wow.
Okay. These are all from my trip to Canada, like a week or so ago. This one is like obviously not wildlife, but it's the habitat. And I thought it was pretty amazing to see the way that the sky and the reflections and the clouds. And then our friend went climbing down the rocks in order to get a different perspective there. But it was kind of a mind-blowing scene. I mean, between the 3 of us, I think we probably took 200 photos. Every time the sky changed, it was different. It was just magnificent there.
Beautiful.
Move on. Hey, Holly, Foxy Lady.
Holly?
Have I lost anybody?
Oh, sorry. I don't know how I ended up unmuted.
Ah,
Muted again. Anyway, this is fox. This is a little she fox that was sitting along the main corridor in Algonquin Provincial Park, just enjoying herself, smelling the breeze, grooming, having herself a wonderful time. And it was really lovely to see her. She was very healthy, which is always a good thing there. All right, next.
wow.
This was a very interesting moose. Unfortunately, I got trapped so that I was using a 400mm lens, and this is what I could get. But I really loved his face, and I loved the dribbling. What the deal is with moose in this particular park is that they're just coming out of their very rough winter time, and the ice is starting to melt. What they do during the winter is, come to the edge of the road to eat the snow because it's full of salt from road treatment.
Huh.
And they need the salt, so that's where you can find them. This guy was like down in the gullies, lapping up the water that I'm sure still had salt in it at that point. But he wasn't in particularly good shape. We were giving, some attaboys to him because he looked like he'd had a very, very rough winter, but he was enjoying his salty drink. Next. And here's one. This is like a typical wildlife behavior up at Algonquin. They hide behind something and it's like, if they can't see you, you can't see them. Unfortunately, there weren't a lot of birds to take pictures of, but I just love the wildlife there. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark.
Okay, I just unmuted myself. Okay, my first 3 photos were taken at my favorite place in the world, the Arthur R. Marshall Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge. And this is Mama Bobcat, and I'll tell you why I knew it was Mama in just a minute. This was so special to me because I had never seen a bobcat before. You know, I spent most of my life in New York City, and there's not too much wildlife there. I had been coming to the Marsh Trail for a year and a half, and I saw tracks all the time. And one time in the morning, I missed the whole family by a few minutes. And I saw her walking on, through onto the lot, but I couldn't get a picture right away. But then she was very cooperative. She walked into the middle of the road. She turned and faced me, and she stood there for about 30 seconds. And I'm guessing that she was facing me because I think my long lens extending towards her kind of startled her, and she was curious. And it was just so fascinating why she was giving me so many photo opportunities. After about 30, 45 seconds, she left. She crossed over into the woods, and then I realized why she was waiting, because I saw one of her kittens behind her. Now, it wasn't a newborn, but you can tell from the size that it wasn't fully grown, and she didn't want to cross over to the woods without her kitten behind her. And it was just such a spectacular experience. I'm so glad I got these memories. Okay, next, please. Okay, so we're staying on the Marsh Trail here, and this was actually in a parking lot, and we have a red-shouldered hawk eating a banded water snake. It's such a great photo. I showed up and I asked somebody with a nice camera what was going on. They told me, oh, there's a hawk eating a snake. And I must have stood there for at least 15 minutes, just continuously getting pictures. And I finally got this perfect one. We have the guts coming out, but the picture shows one interesting thing. Actually shows 2 interesting things. Number one is, like, nature just works. Like, this tree was a perfect dining room table for the hawk. There was nothing uncomfortable. The hawk was very comfortable eating. The snake was all laid out. And it also shows this is opposite of a dog's behavior when they're eating. A dog will eat food as fast as it can because it's instinctively worried about another dog or some other predator eating its food. No, this bird was taking its time. No worry. This red-shouldered hawk wasn't worried about any animal stealing its food. It started eating before I showed up, and it was still enjoying the snake at least 15 minutes later when I moved on. And I'm very happy with this photo. Next, please. Okay, yeah, this was actually the same day. I believe this was this past this was this past March 30th. This is a great horned owl. I want to preface, I did not flash this owl. You should never flash an owl. A great story. This was actually my target bird. It was a lifer for me. I had actually gone out a few days before, and I neither heard nor saw great horned owls. But I came back, and about a half hour before sunset, I heard the owls hooting, and I had a good recording. And in the birding world, we all prefer photo lifers, but it's okay to take a lifer on sound. But thank you, Cherry. But there was no way I was going to leave until until it was too dark to take photos. And probably there was about this was after sunset but there was still about 11 minutes of available light left. And I was actually turned to face somebody, but I turned around. I had missed this bird flying in from the woods, and it was getting dark for me to see, but I noticed a shape on a branch, and I knew that had to be what I was looking for. And I stood there for the next 10 minutes doing nothing but taking pictures. Eventually, about 5-6 minutes later, its partner came out because I heard 2 calls before, and I got some good pictures of them on adjacent branches. And they actually left just as it was too dark for me to take any photos. And I obviously lighten this picture a lot, but I'm very happy with it. Okay, next, please. Okay, we're leaving Arthur Marshall and we are moving on to southwestern Palm Beach County, very south and very west, to the Holy Land Wildlife Management Area. This was my target bird, a lifer also. And I have to say, this Western Kingbird, this was the easiest lifer chase I've ever been on. I saw one of the birds before I got out of my car. I didn't flush them when I got out of my car. I got great photos right away. And these birds are flycatchers, so they presented a familiar pattern. One or more of them would be on a wire, for a little while, giving me great photo shots. And then they would jump off and fly in whatever patterns they would need to catch flies. And then they would go on another nearby wire. I actually, I ended up, I very rarely darken photos, but I don't know if it was the nature of the light, the nature of the lighting, or maybe the nature of the colors of this bird, but I actually darkened this quite a bit, and I'm very happy with this photo and this memory. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Sherry.
Well, this is not a Florida panther. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I
Okay.
can.
From the time I was a young kid, listening to my granny talk about panthers in the mountains of North Carolina, I always wanted to see one. And then I finally wrote down my goal. I really wanted to see and photograph them in Patagonia, Chile, not knowing that a year later I would have a prognosis of 2 years to live.
Wow.
So unbeknownst to science, my body healed. And as of this past November, I was in Patagonia on a puma trek for a few days. So this is a mother puma that was resting with her 10-month-old cub that had just come out of a rock crevice. And you can see her shadow there. There a lot of conglomerate rock. So that was fascinating. The next picture shows her 10-month-old cub.
Ooh.
And what had happened, we met this pair, mother and young male, our first morning, and we kept seeing them off and on for 5 days because they were calling for their missing sibling or sister. So we really didn't think they would have the opportunity to see. After the 5th day, we had not seen anything but those two together. Now, I do want to tell you, I saw 13 pumas and photographed 12 of them.
Wow.
Next, please. And just as we were leaving the area, this was a 17,000-acre ranch next to Torres del Paine National Park. There, next to the highway, were 3 pumas, the mother, the 10-month-old male, and the 10-month-old female. The male picked up something to run with it, and the female is jumping. So that's her brother, and that is her. So they were reunited, and it was an incredible grand finale. I was amazed that they kept calling anytime we saw them for this cub, and that after 5 days, they were still calling and they were reunited. So I asked the puma trekker, where has this young female been? And said she was probably hiding. And I said, well, I know cattle. Cattle don't call for their calves, for 5 days after they've been weaned. And I said, I'm just amazed this happened. So anyway, like I said, it was a grand finale. So this last picture
Awesome.
There you go.
Oh,
shows mom licking the daughter, the sister, and of course they take turns licking each other. I've never seen so many cats touch each other. I also learned that they share their carcasses with unrelated females and their young. It's been amazing to watch how their behavior is in front of you. You just have to be able to hike and keep up with them. They're very tolerant of people. They know you're there, but they're actually looking for their prey, which are guanacos, or actually that's the ancestor of the llama. So it was a phenomenal trip. It was more than I ever expected. And for me, this really was heart-wrenching that I had the opportunity to do this. And I also want to thank you for the chance just to share a little bit of that with you.
thank you, Sherry. It's wonderful.
Okay, Charlene is at another meeting, so is my wife, and so she asked me to speak on her behalf. So back in April 2015, we went to a field trip to STA2. Was sponsored obviously by Audubon Everglades, and Susan McKinney was the lead at the time. And this was one of the first times that we were seeing flamingos in the wild. Everyone thinks that they're native to Florida, but that hasn't been the case for a long time. And so Charlene took these pictures, and as you're seeing the pictures, just keep in mind, these were all taken with a bridge camera. At that time, a power shot 5x50 high speed. So just have one sitting there by itself. You know,
Love it.
we're developing an interest in from one flamingo to another. And here you have the first time documenting making little flamingos. Yeah, everyone was actually rather excited to see that because it hadn't captured photos of flamingos mating in Florida. And so there was hope that maybe the Florida flock would grow.
Wonderful.
And I have no idea what you'd say about this unless this is the cigarette after.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I've got several pictures. Back in March 2019, we went to Rowe, Nebraska. They have the Audubon Sanctuary over there has an annual sandhill crane festival. Thousands of sandhill cranes convert on Rowe, Nebraska. They alight on the South Platte River. And I was doing a little playing around and putting these pictures. So 3 of the 4 pictures are black and white. I just wanted to see what it looked like. But this is just a subsection of the flamingos, of the sandhill cranes flying in. One of the things they told us was we were not allowed to bring tripods because the number of people that would be in our blind, it was just going to be not enough space for tripods. So we're all using monopods, trying to keep things steady. And of course, the sandhill cranes are coming in as the evening gets darker. So that you get anything flying in at that hour was a miracle. As we were driving around, we came across sandhill cranes feeding. So to give you an idea, when I said thousands, this is just a small subset of them in the field. The farmers must love them because they pick at all the bugs and all the underlying growth. The only one I have that's in color, but here we have 2 sandhill cranes in a mating posture. They were just kind of dancing around. It's as far as I ever saw them get. And finally, sandhill cranes, they would move on, especially first thing in the morning at some sort of time. We don't know how they set up their time. they decide they're just going to start flying away. So they get up off the South Platte and they head to wherever they're going to be heading. And they do it in 2s and 3s.
Mm.
So and that was it for me.
Thanks.
So next is Gary.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep.
This is, was taken at Wakotahachie, a snowy egret that was coming in on a landing. And just like the composition of his wings and him dancing on the water. Next. Glossy ibis, if you're lucky to have the sun hit it just the right spot, you get these beautiful iridescent colors. Just love the display of all the colors in the wings.
Beautiful.
Next. This was taken at Green Cay. I like it very dark like this, gives it a very pensive mood. And you see the red eye. And I just like it. It's a little somber, but it just, you know, something speaks to me about the darkness of it. Next. This is also a tricolor heron. I love the composition of the neck and the beak tucked in and the eye and all the texture of the feathers. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Hi.
Alice.
I went with my sister to Hawaii, and this was in the forest. We were looking for the honey creeper and didn't see the honey creeper, but this is where the honey creeper would have been had she been there. Okay, next one. Snowy egret at Peaceful Waters. It was a beautiful day. We saw the otter lots of times, and then this snowy. Next. And at Peaceful Waters, entering Peaceful Waters, as soon as I got in, there was a squirrel looking at me from behind the tree, and I just quickly snapped a shot.
Was this peaceful or grassy?
And that was Peaceful Waters.
Oh. The title came up Grassy Waters.
Oh, I should change that to Peaceful. That was Peaceful Waters.
Okay, great.
Okay.
No harm done.
I think that was it. Yes.
Yep, that was.
Thank you, Alice. Really nice.
Linda.
Hi, everybody. We had an opportunity to go to the Galapagos in the end of March, beginning of April, and we flew into Quito, Ecuador. And at the end of the trip, I arranged for a birding guide to take us to the cloud forest. And so this was outside of Quito, Ecuador, and it's about 12,000 feet. And we went to 3 different birding sites. And I believe this was Zuraloma, and this is a collared Inca.
Beautiful.
And I think I had another one next.
Right, yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. This I took this in Zambia in September. It's a lilac breasted roller, and we came across this. It was early in the morning, so that's why the light is soft. And I believe this was right on the side of the road, which is why I'm eye level with the bird. And I think I shot that with my 500 prime lens.
Mm.
And as somebody asked about the Hummer, I shot it at 64,000.
Mm.
And about 280 millimeters, no flash. And I think I'm trying to think about what the f-stop was, probably f5.6. And I think that's it. Thank you.
And I have been assigned to speak for Scott because he wasn't able to be here. He basically featured 4 Rosies. He was at Stick Marsh, which it's north of here, a good tribe. And the Rosies nest there. And one of the things that evidently people did is the Rosies were in the process of building their nests at the time. And he said that a bunch of photographers gathered up sticks and put them near where the birds were looking for sticks so that they had a nice supply and didn't have to expend too much energy. It gave the photographers the access of more photos with sticks. So maybe we'll see some. Next. That's that's the one he said, I think looks like a chicken. He mentioned that. Okay, next. Beautiful landing shot. This could be one of those that was getting ready to pick up a stick. And next. Always love that pose. Colors are so rich, and he said they were there very early in the morning, which would give the really warmth to the colors of the bird and add a good amount of that yellow. Is there a next? I had a feeling Zucker would be last. So does anybody have any questions for any of the people that have presented? Now would be a good time to ask.
I had a question for Sherry. I'd like to know what outfit she used for the Puma trek.
This is Hector Astorga. He's based in Texas.
Oh, I know.
Can you put it in the chat?
I would be happy to do that. He's a really good communicator, a really great guy. I just was with him in South Africa. He has Santa Clara Ranch in Texas where you can go and shoot a lot of the locals with. So I will put his name down and you can go from there. This trek was different from most of them. In that you take a 4x4, so you get closer to the animals. And by the time you have walked those hills 2 to 3 miles a day, you're glad you could get somewhat close to them. So it was an incredible adventure, and I am writing in the chat as we speak.
Thank you.
So you were walking when you were doing the Pumas?
Yes. They have become habituated, and like I said, they're concentrating on their main prey, but you don't interfere with their behaviors whatsoever, and you have to walk parallel to them or sometimes get way in front and hope that they approach you. So, but it was very little sleep, and we were up and out the door by 5:30 in the morning. And we had dinner at 10 at night. So very, very grueling physically, mental challenge too, but absolutely worth it. It was just an incredible dream and goal come true. So, and I cannot praise him enough. Like I said, I was just with him in South Africa last month, actually 3 weeks ago.
I've always admired his pictures. I follow him.
He's worth following, and the fact he's such a decent guy and not intimidating. And, you know, there are no, a lot of instructors I've found are not always that nice. So it's nice to be around someone who cares that much. So it was a phenomenal trip.
That's good to hear. Sounds exhausting though.
It was, but when you realize that I had the opportunity and I didn't know I would even have that opportunity, it was worth it.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
Beautiful pictures.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
I love that last one.
Oh, that was what surprised me was how much they touch each other. And yes, part of it's grooming if they've eaten or something, but a lot of it's reassurance or it's just in contact. I almost put one in of the 10-month-old cub with his tail wrapped around his mom's head. Trust me, I've got lots of puma pictures, but I also saw penguins and sea lions and lots of birds. So, you know, but for the 5 days of the puma trekking, we concentrated on the pumas with good reason.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? We have 91 chat things in here. Did everybody like doing this? Is this something
Yes.
you guys would all like to continue to do?
Yes, I enjoyed it.
Yes, I enjoy having the opportunity to share. I like doing this.
Well, I think we learn more about people and their interests. And for me, it's always great to see other photographers and their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's lovely. I mean, I learned just looking from other people's work. And then also having the chance to hear their voices, talk about their passion. I think it's grand.
I'm glad. So do answer that email when we send it out, and let us know that you would definitely like, we're trying to determine if we'd like to have like one on the opening of our, in September, and then one at the end. That was our thought. So yeah, let us know how you feel and we'll do it. We'll do it.
Will do.
All of these comments are, everybody loves everything. I hope you read your own comments in here because I'm not sure I could keep track of who is commenting on what. Everybody seemed to love what they saw. The spoonies, the hawk, red-shouldered, spider. What's interesting is I just photographed red-bellied nest, red-bellied woodpecker nest, and the female was bringing in spiders over and over again, that same little spider, and she was bringing it in to feed the chicks. The chicks weren't big enough to stick their heads out yet, but spiders were definitely on the menu.
Yeah, well, it's definitely fascinating to hear everybody's talking about what they were shooting, why they were there, what they found appealing. At some point, it might be interesting to hear a little bit more about the photography, technology, the cameras they use, the lenses. A couple of people mentioned that. I know it's not strictly a photography group.
Yes, it is.
Well, in terms of the technology and I could see some people did some post-processing. Most of the shots looked like they were just right out of the camera, which is wonderful. I think it says a lot about the folks who are shooting and what, I guess, their passion for what they're seeing. That's why they're getting such great shots, because they really love what they're seeing. Shots of the puma were insanely exceptional. So
Yeah, they were wonderful.
anyway, yeah, I certainly vote for doing at least 2 of these a year, if not more. And then the critique session was incredibly helpful. He was really wonderful.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have him again next year too. He seemed interested, so I thought he was good too. Good to hear.
Because I think others like myself are probably on some other photo groups where there's a lot of critique and learning about what we did well and what could be improved. And so getting critique from a professional like that was really helpful. So that would be great if we can get more people like that.
Okay, well, we're hoping to do 2 next year if everybody's interested. So that's why we're going to send out the email. There is the fact that today we only have 23 people, I think, attended, and we have, I think, closer to 50 members. So we really want to get some feedback from the other members as well. But it's really nice to hear that people are enjoying this. Now, I think that's a good idea. We could include in this photo share, people to share their technique or their equipment. How do people feel about that? Is that something you'd like to be included?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll make a note of that, and maybe that's what we'll do in our next share. Okay, anybody have any other
Thanks so much,
questions or
Mary.
suggestions or?
Nancy, I do. When I re-register, is there a certain month that we have to do it so that it doesn't count for this year again?
Mary, are you around?
So, hi. So I think I understand what you're asking. So is let me say it this way. Our Audubon Everglades membership drive is starting very soon, in a couple weeks. So that'll be May, so our new membership starts June 1st. Your
Okay.
membership, okay, into Audubon Everglades, and therefore into the photography group also, because it's free once you join Audubon Everglades. So that's from June to May 31st. So,
Okay.
so then once you renew your membership in Audubon Everglades, remember to re-register with our photography group so that you get all of our emails for photography. We send some of our emails about photography to all of our Audubon Everglades members so that anyone new can know we have this photography group and join if they want to. But there's other things we don't send to everybody. So if you want to get all of our photography information, then just send the email to AEPG register@audubon-everglades.org. And I put that into the chat a few minutes ago. And that way I'll put you back on the list. So every new season, we start a new photography list, just like Audubon Everglades does. So I don't know if that answered your question.
It definitely did. Thank you, Mary.
Great.
She's the expert on membership.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks for reminding me.
You bet. Anybody else have any questions? No? Okay.
It was wonderful seeing all of your work. This was great.
It really was. There was some wonderful stuff and some really great trips you guys have gone on. Really wonderful. Definitely need to get on the road, I think. So we are blessed with some amazing things here too. So can't overlook that. All right, guys. So don't forget to keep your eyes out for our email and to answer it. Register for Audubon Everglades. And September 14th, put that on your calendars. Anything else I should say, Mayor, that you can think of?
I think you covered it all.
Okay, great.
Have a great summer, everybody.
Yeah, really.
All right, Nancy, before we all go, can you please refresh my memory? What's the event on September 14th?
Oh, that's our next meeting. Our first meeting of our new season is September 14th. And by the
Okay.
results here, my guess is we're going to start with the photo share. So whatever you do,
Be looking for that email so that you have enough time to submit your photograph. So you need to, if you're thinking of submitting in September, you need to renew your membership with both AE and then with us so that we can get you set up again with your Photo Contest Pro software to submit. Okay.
Okay.
got it?
Great.
Got it.
Right.
Great.
Well, thank you guys for participating and enjoying it and sharing your stuff with us. And I look forward to the next time. It was really
Yeah,
great.
great
Thanks.
seeing everybody. And hello, Don. I'll see you at the refuge. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night.
And thank
Thanks again.
you.
Good night.
Hi,
Good night. Thank you.
Fran,
Yes,
Fran,
Yeah.
did you want to join our photography group for
yes,
next?
I'd like to. I had joined Audubon, but I don't know where or, I mean, I was a member somewhere. But I don't think I did with, maybe with the Everglades chapter.
Okay, so if you want to be a member of Audubon Everglades, you can go to our website. We're revamping it, but on the main page, you can become a member. It says a little button there that you can become.
Okay. I will do that. I'm gonna be gone for a while, but we'll be in New York until October probably, but I'll come on in September.
Okay, great.
Then I'll be back here in October.
And just be
Okay.
aware, it's called Audubon, Friends of Audubon Everglades, but it's the same thing.
Okay, great. I will do that.
Oh, so yes, so when you're on our Audubon Everglades page, become a member is to become a Friends of Audubon Everglades is
Okay.
what Nancy's meaning, yes. Yeah,
Just
okay.
in case that confuses you.
Okay, I will check it out for sure.
All right. It's
All
nice.
right, guys.
Thank
Nice
you.
seeing you
Take
all.
care. Thank you. It's a nice
Bye-bye.
program. Okay, bye-bye.
Night,
Bye
everyone.
now.